Hey, first grade, welcome to Social Studies today. We are going to wrap up learning about some American holidays and folk tales. Our target is down here at the bottom. It says, I can identify American holidays and folk tales and explain their importance. Well, we've kind of been talking about this for a few days, so let's go ahead and start reviewing. What is the difference between a holiday and a celebration? A lot of times we just kind of use those words interchangeably. That means we kind of use them in place of the other ones. We might say holiday one day, we might say celebration the next day. But it's important to know that there is a difference. A holiday is something that everybody celebrates on a specific day. This could be like Christmas, Thanksgiving, or Memorial Day, right? It's something that pretty much everybody around celebrates or recognizes. A lot of times, banks are closed on holidays. Now, I know in first grade, we're like, it doesn't matter if the banks are closed, but it's important to know, and that'll help you remember. It's important because, like, if I was taking Thanksgiving, that's celebrated on the same day. I don't celebrate it on one day and then somebody down the road picks a different day to celebrate. Everyone in the country is celebrating it on the same day for that holiday. And then a celebration is, see, it's kind of tricky because Miss Line was using the word celebrate for holiday, but a holiday is something that we all do kind of at the same time. A celebration, you can kind of think of it almost as like a party. It's something that only a few people kind of do on any day. And this could be like a birthday, right? Even though everybody has a birthday, we all have different birthdays. It's not a holiday. The whole country doesn't stop just to celebrate my birthday, even if I want them to. So it's more of a celebration because it's just for me. That would be the same for an anniversary or if you're graduating, like college or high school. So a celebration is something that's more on the smaller scale, that's kind of like just you or just your family. Maybe everybody does it, but it's on its own special day. And a holiday is something that everybody does on the same day. Well, let's talk about what are some of the holidays that we studied. Well, we talked about Constitution Day. I remember that was in September. And we have this holiday to help us remember all about the Constitution. And when we signed it, it had all of our rights and amendments in there. I remember it started with "We the People." That's right. So I have our Constitution. I remember that is a holiday because everybody celebrates it. And it's on the same day every year, no matter what. Oh, I also remember Independence Day, and it has a nickname, the 4th of July. Oh, I love the 4th of July. We celebrate Independence Day to remember when we declared our independence from England or Great Britain, right? We decided we didn't want another country to be in charge of us, so we declared our independence. And we remember that every year on Independence Day or the 4th of July. And normally we like shoot off fireworks. Maybe you grill some like hot dogs and hamburgers or anything like that. And you normally spend a lot of time outside because it's in July. Oh, we also learned about Veterans Day. That's in November. And it's the same day every year. And the whole country celebrates it. That's how I know it's a holiday. Veterans Day is a great day where we can remember all of the men and women who have served in the armed forces. Remember, that could be like the Army, the Marines, the Air Force, any of our armed forces, okay? So we remember Veterans Day as a way to thank those who have served. All of these are holidays because everybody in the country celebrates them on the same day, and our country all recognizes them, like with the banks closing. A lot of times, too, you'll have school closed. Like, for instance, on Veterans Day, we didn't have school. And Independence Day, well, that's in the summer, so we definitely don't have school. Most of the time, school still happens for Constitution Day, but it is still a holiday that we recognize. Well, what about folk tales? Well, folk tales are just stories that people tell. Normally, when they're starting out, people don't write them down. Back in the olden times, we couldn't really write stories down, so we just would tell people. And then I would tell you, and then you would go tell somebody else, and everyone is telling everybody, so eventually everybody knew the story. Now we can write them down. But when folk tales first started, it was mostly just people telling that story over and over. Now, folk tales, they might have some truth to them, but oftentimes there's parts of it that are made up. And we make it up to make it a better story, and it sometimes can teach you a lesson. Think about it like this. When you're telling a story, if you tell it to your friend and then your friend tells it to their friend, do sometimes they get some of the little details mixed up? Yeah, and sometimes it's so easy to exaggerate, like, oh, I was so strong, I lifted the whole car by myself. Now, is that true? No, but when I'm telling a story, it's easy to exaggerate those details. In a folk tale, a lot of times the details can be exaggerated. Well, some of the folk tales that we learned about so far were about a man named John Henry and Johnny Appleseed. Oh man, John Henry was so cool, wasn't he? Oh, he was so strong. He had those big muscles, right? And in part of his folk tale, it says that he was so strong when he was hammering in the stuff for the railroads, it almost like exploded the rock. And he was so strong and so good at putting in railroads that he was faster than the steam engine. Oh my goodness. Now, is that 100% true? Probably not. But was he really strong? Oh, yeah. And did he put in railroads all across America? Yeah, he did. Now, what about Johnny Appleseed? Well, I remember he wore that pot on his head and he had apples all the time, but what was his story about? Oh, yeah, his photo was about how he planted apple seeds all throughout the United States. Now, what he really wanted to do was help people learn how to live simply and to learn how to take care of plants and the land and everything. But it's fun to still kind of say, oh, he wore a pot on his head and he always gave out apples and only ate things with apples. Now, it's a folk tale, so I know part of that's not true. But what is true is that he really did go around the United States planting apples, and we can thank Johnny Appleseed for that. Even though his name isn't really Johnny Appleseed, we know it's John Chapman, but it's fun to call him Johnny Appleseed. It's your turn. On CSI, you're going to have this 2-page assignment. On the first page, I gave you some celebrations and holidays, but it's your turn to figure out, oh, is that a celebration? Is it something that kind of just I do? Or is it a holiday? Is it something the whole country does all together? If it's a celebration, I want you to circle it in green. If it's a holiday, I want you to circle it in red. And then you have a couple questions at the bottom about some holidays. On the second page, you have 2 questions about the folk tales that we focused on so far this week. One question about John Henry and one question about Johnny Appleseed. On the page, you'll be able to push play to hear Miss Lime read you the questions and answers. Of course, you can have a grown-up help you read them if you need to as well. Of course, when you're all done, push that green check mark so your teacher can see the amazing work you did. Thanks for joining.